Amy Winehouse has been found dead at her home in Camden today, the 23rd of July 2011, and her cause of death has not yet been confirmed. But I am sure of one thing, that her death is the result of her indulgence in substances that stimulate the mind, that gives a high, and that you end up being addicted to. Could this have been stopped? Could she actually stopped herself from killing herself? Because this is what it seems to me that she has done. I say that yes, there is definitely a way that one can stop oneself from being addicted to substances that only harm the body and that only provides the mind a momentary experience of enjoyment. Once again, this is the proof that the mind is the cause of our problems. And in this case, we have a very specific example of how a famous person, rather very talented, great singer, has killed herself just because she placed herself in a mind frame where she is not capable of enjoying herself without being stimulated by substances. And not only the drugs that she used to take, that she took, it is also the addiction to the relationship that she had. It seems that her album Back to Black is the result of the relationship she had with Fielder. And after he went back to his ex-girlfriend, she sank into depression, and that's where the album Back to Black comes from apparently. So this shows how the addiction to energy, because remember that what she experienced towards Fielder was actually an energy, the energy of love. And when you take drugs, it's also an energy that you experience. It's an energetic experience that you find yourself in when you take drugs, whether it's where you feel very active and very fast and very quick in your thought process, or you just go to the opposite polarity where you're just very, let's say, chilled out and relaxed, and there is no worries, everything is just fine, etc. So this is all energetic experiences, just like relationships, just like sugar, just like anything that brings you to a point where you feel either a high or a low, which is a polarity, which is the mind. So the cause of her death, obviously in this case we can see that it is the mind, it is her addiction to the energy generated by the mind through these substances, or through the relationship construct that she made up for herself and that she believed it to be real. Now this can be stopped. All of this can be stopped. We can stop ourselves from killing ourselves. We can stop ourselves from being addicted to these energies, and the way to do so is by forgiving ourselves, because within forgiving ourselves we are giving away this energy, we are releasing this energy, and that's when we find ourselves here as breath, and there's no energy, there's no movement within ourselves. And it is from this starting point that we are actually able to will ourselves. I mean, Amy Winehouse used to go and play some gigs, or try to play some gigs, to sing at gigs, concerts, and she absolutely couldn't do so because she was so pissed. There was no actual self-will, there was no determination, there was no dedication to stop this addiction, and this could very easily be achieved. Well, very easily, obviously you really must push yourself to actually stop for a moment and forgive. But once you actually sit down and you start writing how you have programmed yourself, and as you forgive all that stuff away, if she were to write, let's say, 100 pages of self-forgiveness about her addictions to drugs and the energy in essence, that the energy that these drugs generated, I am sure that she would live many, many more years. And the drugs that they used to give them in rehab, or the techniques that psychologists utilize to help people, they are very primitive. Self-forgiveness itself is actually the way for one to stop oneself from committing suicide, because that's what we all do. We end up committing suicides because we program ourselves into believing ourselves to be so limited and so inferior and so incapable of actually giving direction to our life and will ourselves. This is absolutely fucked up. So Amy Winehouse's death could absolutely been prevented if only she knew about self-forgiveness and applied it and lived the words of self-forgiveness. So this is what we do at Destiny. This is what we have been sharing with the world for the past three and a half, almost 4 years now, actually. So what I'm saying here is that there is a way for humanity to stop committing suicide, because, that is what we do, one by one. And one by one we must stop ourselves if we are to change the world. So please investigate the Desteni I Process, the Destiny to self-forgiveness within, the application of self-forgiveness within, and self-honesty, so that we can stop ourselves from limiting ourselves, and from believing ourselves that we are not capable of changing ourselves and changing the way we live and what we accept to be true. Because it is in the mind, it's what we mind, and what we mind, it's not true, because what is true is here, the physical, that is true. And I'm the proof to myself that this is actually the way to change oneself. Self-forgiveness is the way to change oneself. So please investigate destiny.co.za and the desteniiprocess.com. Thanks.